The Gardener's Grim Harvest, the Bruce McArthur Story, Episode 2, Investigation and Trial. Welcome back to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations. This is Episode 2 of The Gardener's Grim Harvest, the Bruce McArthur Story, our three-part series on one of Canada's most notorious serial killers. This episode contains descriptions of violence and disturbing details. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care as we continue. In Toronto's gay village, fear had taken root. 8 men had vanished, their faces haunting the community on posters and in whispered conversations. Bruce McArthur, a landscaper trusted by his neighbors, was hiding a monstrous secret. His victim's remains buried in the soil he tended. Today, we unravel the investigation that finally exposed him and the trial that brought a measure of justice. This is Investigation and Trial. Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. It's a gripping true crime podcast uncovering unsolved murders, disappearances, and forgotten crimes from Ontario and beyond. Told with deep research, compelling storytelling, and a voice for the victims. Join us today, where every clue could lead to answers, and every case deserves a second look. Last episode, we stepped in the shadows of Toronto's gay village, where Bruce McArthur, a man who seemed like just another friendly face, preyed on the vulnerable. From 2010 to 2017, took the lives of 8 men. Skandaraj Navaratnam, Abdulbasir Faizi, Majeed Kayhan, Soroush Mahmudi, Kirushna Kumar Kanagaratnam, Lisowick, Selim Esen, and Andrew Kinsman. These are men with dreams, families, and stories, men whose absences left the village reeling. McArthur lured them with promises of connection, only to end their lives and conceal the remains in planters, turning his gardening trade into a grim disguise. But the village refused to stay silent. As whispers of a serial killer grew louder, one disappearance, Andrew Kinsman's, sparked a turning point. Today we'll follow the investigation's rocky path and the courtroom drama that followed. Let's dive in. The investigation. First cracks in the case appeared in September 2010, when Skandaraj Navaratnam vanished after a night at Zippers. Just months later, Abdulbasir Faizi disappeared. His car found abandoned near Mallory Crescent, a street that would later haunt this story. By October 2012, Majeed Kayhan was gone too. The gay village was buzzing with fear, and the community demanded answers. Were these disappearances connected? Was a killer at work? In November 2012, Toronto Police launched Project Houston, a task force to investigate the missing men. They combed through phone records, interviewed friends, scoured the village's bars and streets. But early on, they hit a wall. The police insisted there was no evidence of foul play. Perhaps these men had just left town, they said. To the community, it felt like dismissal. They're not taking us seriously, one resident told a local paper, frustration dripping from every word. The village's trust in law enforcement was fraying. Here's where it stings. In 2013, investigators found a thread linking all 3 missing men. A man named Bruce McArthur. His email alias, SilverFox51, appeared in Skanda's inbox, and his name was scribbled in Abdulbasir's notebook. He'd even worked with Majeed as a landscaping assistant. Police interviewed McArthur. He played the part of a concerned friend, denying any deep connection to Faizi. Shockingly, they didn't dig deeper, not even checking his 2001 assault conviction for attacking a sex worker with a metal pipe. That oversight let a killer slip through their fingers. By April 2014, Project Houston shut down, its leads exhausted. 3 more men, Soroush Mahmudi, Kirushna Kumar Kanagaratnam, and Dean Lisowick, would vanish before the case reignited. The turning point came in 2017, when 2 more men disappeared. Selim Esen in April, and Andrew Kinsman in June. Andrew's absence hit the village hard. He was a beloved figure, a poet, an activist, a friend. His disappearance wasn't just another missing persons case. It was a call to action. Friends like Nicoll refused to let Andrew's case fade. They plastered posters across the village, organized searches, pressured police. A crucial clue emerged. Andrew's calendar had an entry for a meeting with Bruce. That name led investigators back to McArthur, and this time they weren't letting him go. In September 2017, Project Prism was born, a new task force to tackle the disappearance of Esen and Kinsman, building on Houston's old files. By December, police were watching McArthur closely. They tailed his every move, noting his visits to landscape and clients' homes. On January 18, 2018, they made their move. Officers followed McArthur to his Thorncliffe Park apartment and saw a man enter. Someone they feared could be his next victim. They stormed in, finding the man tied to a bed, alive but shaken. McArthur was arrested on the spot, charged initially with the murders of Kinsman and Esen. The investigation exploded from there. Police searched McArthur's apartment and found a chilling trove. Photos of victims, some taken after death, posed in degrading ways. Restraints, a notebook with victims' names, and jewelry, like Skandaraj's silver bracelet, kept as twisted mementos. Then came the planters. At a home on Mallory Crescent, where McArthur stored his tools, investigators uncovered dismembered remains buried in the soil. Cadaver dogs led them to more planters and a nearby ravine, revealing the remains of 7 men. It was a graveyard, hidden in plain sight. The forensic work was grueling. Pathologists pieced together fragmented bones, matching them to missing men through DNA. McArthur's van, parked unassumingly outside, held traces of blood from multiple victims. Detectives worked around the clock, but the weight of the case took its toll. One officer later said, "You don't sleep when you're staring at that kind of evil." The public, too, was reeling. Protests erupted outside police headquarters with signs reading, "Protect our village," and "No more excuses." The community's outrage was palpable. They'd been warning about a serial killer for years, only to be ignored. Up next, the trial. The trial. On January 18, 2018, Bruce McArthur's reign of terror ended in handcuffs. But the road to justice was just beginning. Charged with 2 murders at first, McArthur faced 5 more counts by April as remains were identified. The 8th charge, for Kirushna Kumar Kanagaratnam, came after police released a photo of an unidentified victim, piecing together his tragic end. The evidence was overwhelming, and McArthur knew it. In January 2019, the trial began, not with a fight, but with a surrender. On January 29, McArthur stood in the Toronto courtroom and pleaded guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. The room was packed, families, friends, reporters, all holding their breath. The air was thick with grief and anger as Crown attorneys laid out the evidence. They described McArthur's methodical cruelty, how he lured men to his apartment, strangled them, and staged their bodies for photos, some with cigars, others in a fur coat, as if they were trophies. The courtroom gasped as photos were shown, images so horrific they were kept from public view. Families wept, clutching each other. One sister said, "It was like seeing my brother's life erased all over again." McArthur sat stoic, his face unreadable, offering no explanation, no remorse. Justice John McMahon didn't hold back in his sentencing on February 8, 2019. Called the crimes pure evil, a betrayal of the community McArthur claimed as his own. McArthur was sentenced to life in prison with no parole for 25 years, meaning he'd be 91 before he could even apply. For many, it was justice served. For others, it was justice delayed. The trial wasn't just about punishment, it was about a reckoning. Families shared victim impact statements, their voices breaking as they spoke of love and loss. Abdulbasir Faizi's wife described raising their daughters alone, haunted by his absence. Andrew Kinsman's friends mourned the poet whose words once lit up the village. The courtroom became a space for grief, but also for resilience, as a community vowed to heal. As an investigator, I've seen cases where justice comes too late. Bruce McArthur's arrest stopped a killer, but it couldn't undo the years of missed chances, the ignored warnings, the dismissed fears. 8 lives were lost before the truth came to light, and that weight hangs heavy. The investigation and trial exposed not just a predator, but the flaws in a system that failed to listen. Yet in the face of that failure, the gay village showed unbreakable spirit. Next time, in episode 3, we'll explore the aftermath. How a community rebuilt, how families found strength, and what this case means for Canada's future. For now, let's honor the men whose lives drove this fight for justice. Thanks for joining me on Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast. If you have tips on this or any case, reach out. Subscribe now to catch episode 3, and leave a comment to share your thoughts on this story. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, because every case deserves answers, and every victim deserves justice. Subscribe now to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast. Episodes available wherever you get your podcasts.